Marilyn Toppins, and we're here to do a little different version of Uniquely Union. We're going to do the Heritage Union County Uniquely Union. I'm associated with the Union County Heritage Festival, and our festival occurs in the fall of every year, always on the first Saturday in October. But unfortunately, this year we are unable to do our festival due to COVID-19. But we wanted to try and find a way to still have a link with our heritage and keep the cultural arts and all before the community, and still do something that would be looked upon as beneficial and something to promote heritage in Union County. Of course, our festival began in 2005, and so this would have been our 16th year. But we couldn't do our 16th year, so now we're kind of in a quandary for next year, whether we call it our 16th year or our 17th year. So don't be surprised if you see 16/17 on our promotions. But we have lots of music. We have a wonderful group that we were really looking forward to having this year called Flashback. Our own Stuart Wyrick from Luttrell, Tennessee, of course, here in Union County, is the banjo player for that group. And then C.F. Bailey and Shadow Ridge was going to perform from Union County, and they're fairly widely known around the region. So one thing we do with the Heritage Festival, we promote our music, our art, our culture, and we have crafts that sometimes aren't practiced as much now, but we try and help our young people to understand why we practice those crafts. And if you've ever gone to bed at night and snuggled up under a quilt, maybe one that your grandmother or somebody in your family pieced together and made, then you know what it is to have the fine craftsmanship that our heritage promotes. And so today, we, to kind of help our heritage go forward and keep us up in the public's eye, we were at a meeting. We were actually at the meeting where we were trying to decide whether or not to have the Heritage Festival. And of course, people were worried that the coronavirus, we were getting more and more cases, and as we climbed higher and higher, we just felt like it was not safe. And so we were trying to figure out what we could do to maybe work with somebody in our county to keep the cultural arts in front of the public. And lo and behold, right there across the table from me was a lady named Alicia Victoria, and she was one of our newer extension agents. And she just happened to have applied for a grant to do some special heritage arts. So I'm going to let her jump in here, and if you'll just tell us a little bit about what you shared with us and how we're going to not really have a heritage festival, but it's kind of going to be a virtual experience. You know, that's the thing people are doing nowadays. So we will kind of incorporate 21st century technology with our heritage festival.
Yeah,
so,
that's
Alicia?
Exactly right. Thank you, Marilyn, for those kind words. Our goal here really is to keep with the times and do safe virtual education, but also stay true to our heritage. So we developed this partnership around a board meeting table between the Union County Heritage Festival Board of Directors, the Union County Museum, and UT Extension Union County. And we're going to call this Heritage at Home. Through this fall, we're going to bring a series of different educational demonstration videos, as well as interviews where community members can share stories about heritage and heritage arts and what that has meant to them throughout their lifetime. And we're going to promote these virtually as a way to bring our community together, even if we have to maintain distance. So what really got this kicked off was us just having some conversations about how we could be true to our heritage here in Union County. I had some grant funding that had been awarded to UT Extension Union County for our 4-H Youth Development Program. And this money is very special to me. It came from the Juanita Fasola Foundation. And the Juanita Fasola Foundation promotes educational programming for youth and young adults, specifically in the areas of life skills and home economics. As a child and family studies major and a family and consumer science agent at UT Extension Union County, that's really important to me. Being able to cook and do basic life skills like budgeting, and also heritage skills such as basic sewing, cross stitch, and understanding why those skills are still relevant today and how important they are in historical perspectives and when we're referencing heritage. So we just started planning, and I'll be honest, I had to step out of my comfort zone because I'm not one to be behind a camera. I'm getting more comfortable working with youth, and I enjoy my job as an agent at the Extension office. We have a great team here in Union County between myself, Shannon DeWitt, Ashley Mike, and Beth Bergeron. And so we have a great team there. But this was something that was really stepping out of our comfort zone and putting together some video demonstrations. And when I started thinking about how I was going to adapt this programming and how we could use it to bring community together, I was just so supported by the Heritage Festival Board and the Union County Museum, and they were willing to say, we like the ideas, let's involve adults too. Because the grant funding is specifically for youth, which is important, but there are also so many adults that can benefit from this education.
So the grant is like intergenerational then, right?
Yes.
It's the adults teaching the youngsters so they carry this on.
Yes, that when I applied for the grant, I applied for it with the idea that we would come together as a group, because this was before COVID, and I would teach skills such as canning, Southern comfort foods, and maybe even how to prepare those a little bit healthier than what we may have been used to in the past, but still maintain that good flavor, as well as needle arts like sewing, and even the importance of the apron throughout history and all of the uses that it was used for, and using sewing as a way to really put together that apron. And my idea was to bring members of the community, family members of the youth, into the programs with the youth. So it's not just Extension teaching the youth these skills, but the family members are there to share their stories, as well as to learn skills if they don't know them themselves.
Right.
Now this was all before COVID. So once COVID came, we were sitting at that board meeting, and it just all sort of fell in place. And the support was there at the table to really do something big. So
Wanda Byerly just happened to come to the museum that day, and we had her come over and sit in with the meeting, and she just started relating stories, and she also told us about several memories she had of doing just what you said. Everything from the use of the apron to the pickling and different things. And when you mentioned at the table there apple butter, you had me from go. That was, apple butter is my thing.
Yeah, I went to Berea College for my education, and so the history of Appalachia and the heritage that is here, I not only call this area home, but it's important for me to learn more about all of those elements of what is heritage. And the best thing I can do is just pass that on to others. And so for me personally, I had to think of it as this is a way for me to learn more because I'm still new to Union County. I've only been here in this position for about a year and a half, and there's been a lot of learning. Union County has been such a supportive place. Everyone's been very, very welcoming. But I actually grew up in Clinton, so I'm not as familiar with Union County and its heritage as I'd like to be. So this was just a great way to learn more from the people around me and really hear the voices that are here, and also sort of serve as a bridge to get that to the young people of Union County.
Yeah, our Heritage Festival actually connects a lot with Anderson County and Clinton. We have a wonderful person by the name of John Alvis who does Sleepy Eyed John's band. And of course last year we had the front porch, and we're launching a new front porch this next year. But our old front porch, John was the one that bid on the front porch, and so our front porch now is a member of the Clinton Christmas Parade.
Oh, that's great.
so we have a connection
Yeah.
with Clinton now. And,
That's
and he
great.
said his sleepy-eyed band playing on the porch was the hit of the Christmas parade.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that. That Christmas parade has fond memories for
Yeah.
me. I remember riding in that parade when I was in FFA
really?
in Clinton,
Oh.
and it has very good memories for me. And I really do. I've really started to accept Union County as my home. My family's very happy to be here, and we're really enjoying our time. But I'll tell you, when we were brainstorming and trying to think about how we were going to do this, I thought I would be very intimidated, but youth really do understand technology.
Yes.
And they're doing a great job with things like Zoom and these online platforms. And so as I started to think about it more and we were discussing it, it really fell together, because now what we've got that we didn't have when I originally applied for this grant is we've got youth who are learning from their elders about heritage and about these skills, but we're going to have other members of the community who are older who are learning from the youth. I mean, when they see these technology and for example, we're going to do a Zoom can-along where we have used the funds, some of the funds from the Juanita Fasola Foundation, as well as some of the matched funds from the Heritage Festival Board and the museum. We've used those funds to purchase food preservation kits, and they come with everything you need to preserve food safely at home in your kitchen. It comes with your funnel, it comes with jelly-sized jars, it comes with a debubbler to be sure that you're getting all the bubbles out of the preserved food.
Now that was the part that I didn't understand, a debubbler.
Yeah,
Okay.
the debubbler, because one of the most important food safety concepts of food preservation is that you're taking, let me use these pickles as an example.
Okay.
When you're preserving your food, what you're doing is you're forcing air out so that you can have an environment that will not produce bacteria. And so we're using a clean surface to be sure we're not introducing bacteria. And then we are putting the product in the jar, and we are heating the jar and the internal contents in your water bath canner or your pressure canner. And what that does is it heats the internal contents to a safe temperature to kill bacteria. Where all of your bacteria is killed, it forces extra oxygen out of the jar. And then when you remove your jars and you let them cool, your sealant cools, and that creates a barrier. And so every step is very important, and it's such a great thing because you're learning about heritage with food preservation.
Right.
You're learning about science.
And bringing in our agriculture.
Exactly.
Which is our heritage.
Yeah.
We are a farming community, or once upon a time we were, Now we're kind of a bedroom community to larger cities.
And there's so many stories that come along with food preservation. And so, you know, a debubbler is something that I'll tell you what it was called when I was growing up, a butter knife. You know, it's just
okay.
it's the same thing as the butter knife that you would scrape around the edges to be sure you let any pockets of air out. Because if I've got my pickles prepared into the jar and I add my liquid into the jar, the pickles might have stacked to where there's little air pockets.
Right.
And so we just use that butter knife to sort of move around and loosen any air pockets to be sure that we have enough pickling liquid in that jar.
So that's why you put as many pickles down in there, or cucumbers, as you can.
Yeah, there's a certain way to pack the cucumbers to where it's safe. You can't pack them too tight because then the pickling liquid can't get in between the cucumbers. But you know, you want to get as many cucumbers as you can in there so you've got a good jar of pickles. So it's a great way to really talk about a lot of different things, and students are interested in it. A lot of adults are very interested in canning right now, and so this was just a great partnership. Everyone was so excited at the meeting about getting started with canning, so we started with that. But there's also going to be biscuit baking and apple butter, and later in the fall we'll do a Zoom along where everyone logs on and we prepare those at the same time. And then later in the fall we'll have a basic sewing skills Zoom where everyone, and with each of these segments, those who register will be able to pick up a kit from the extension office that has everything that they need. For example, with canning, all that the families have to provide is a pot that's big enough for the jars, that has a lid, and then I'll send out an ingredient list a couple weeks ahead of time so they can prepare. Same thing with biscuit baking and apple butter. I'll send an ingredient list ahead of time, but the rolling pins and the biscuit cutters will take care of all of that.
Oh, you're going to provide?
Yes.
Okay.
And then with sewing, we'll put together some sewing kits so that everybody who joins this Zoom and has registered ahead of time, so that they can really take part in these skills and have something to do, just like they would have done at Heritage Festival if we could all come together.
Sure. That is just exactly what we had in mind. That, you know, to do something that would actually make these skills come to life and be a part. And I know my boys are grown now, but they take great pride in being able to cook for themselves. And they learned to sew a button on in 4-H. And they are just thrilled to have, you know, what I just took for granted as skills, but they were just so proud. I can still see their faces when they finished sewing that button on. It gave them something they could do to repair something and make it usable again, you know. And so that's kind of, you're just raising a whole generation here of young people that will be able to do for themselves.
Well, like I said, we can't do it alone. We've got a great team over at the Extension office. And I'll tell you this, the first year that I was in the position, I was just truly impressed not only by the citizens of Union County and the support of parents, but also by the students. We do biscuit baking at Tennessee Valley Fair typically. And so again, this is a great way to incorporate things we typically do because we've missed out on that opportunity this year, and students really enjoy it. So it just all lined up great, where, you know, we can still do biscuit baking and we can talk about Southern foods and the traditions and the heritage behind them. And one thing that Union County is known for at the Tennessee Valley Fair is that every time that 4-H bakes biscuits at the Tennessee Valley Fair, we always serve it with apple butter.
Oh,
yes,
I didn't know that.
And people look for Union County 4-H because they know
apple
that.
butter and the biscuits.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
So we're very happy to have the opportunity and excited for what this could turn out to be, and excited to really capture, because we spoke briefly about capturing the historical and heritage stories from members of the community like
Yes.
Miss Wanda and others. Well, my role in this, bringing it to the students and bridging that gap, will be that those recorded conversations will be something that students will listen to before they join our Zoom sessions. And then when they're on the Zoom sessions, we'll talk about it. We'll talk
that's
about, well, what did
wonderful.
you learn?
Yeah.
Maybe we can even get some of those guest speakers to join us and encourage the students. But it's just, it's a great way to use the resources that we have available and really just tie everybody together. I mean, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great.
Oh, I can remember watching my grandmother pat out the biscuits. You know, she didn't really roll hers. She patted them out, you know, and used what looked like to me a can that, you know, she'd cut both
Or a
ends out.
drinking glass.
And, you know, stick it in the flour and then twirl it around and pop it out, you know.
Yeah. And that's where, you see that right there, that's how you've connected the heritage, because that's not the way I would teach it, but that's a story that you remember. I mean, that's the way it was done when you were a child.
Right.
And it's something that I can't share that with students because I've always just had a rolling pin, you know, and a biscuit cutter. But you know, really sharing all of the stories so that students can really see, you know, things have changed over time. Some things change for the better and some things change for the worse. But I'll be honest, I think that it teaches students and it teaches youth that you really can, I think a common thread that I recognize, especially in Appalachia, is that we're resourceful and we're resilient and we use what we've got available.
Right, that rugged individualism
Exactly.
that makes something work when you have almost nothing to work with.
Yeah. It's something that really stands out to me, and it's almost, I would love to see the light bulbs start to go off when students realize that, because our job at UT Extension really is, especially for family and consumer sciences, is to empower families to build their confidence and to build their skills through our educational programming. And so, you know, just teaching youth and teaching families to use what they've got available. And honestly, the best way to do that is by sharing stories and sharing the heritage. It kind of brings everything full circle.
And I'm excited that you are able, and that the Heritage Festival is helping you be able to teach adults too. Because I know we have especially several young adults that really wanted to learn how to can. And people are forever, I know it's really nice now to have blueberries abundant in our county. We have a lot of resources through the farmers market that you know, a few years back, we kind of had a gap because even though we were farmers, we made our living every day someplace else. And so farming became like a sideline. And we didn't really have a place like the farmers market to showcase. And of course, the Extension was very much in on the ground floor to get the farmers market. And I understand now we're going to have a true farmers market.
Yes. Yes. I mean, we've always had a great farmers market. I guess I can't speak to before my time, but I've heard so many people say just fantastic things about the market and all the work that Shannon and Ashley and Beth have put into really building that up over the past 5 or 10 years. And you know, when I can share that from coming previous to Union County, I worked in Knox County, and so I'm familiar with some Knox County markets. And coming to Union County, I could see instantly that our market is different, but it's very valuable. It's a very big part of the community, and it's very important. And I think the reason that I have just really grown to love Union County, and I feel like my appreciation of Union County just continues to grow and grow and grow, is because I do love agriculture. And extension is just such a good fit for my career goals. And Union County really mirrors what we do at Extension. We've got agriculture, and agriculture is sort of the backbone, not only of Union County, but also of Extension. Agriculture is our backbone, and then the family and consumer science skills is sort of the application of that. I mean, you know, we've got agriculture as our backbone, but we also have to, as families and as a community, be confident and have the skills and know how to balance a budget and cook a healthy meal if we needed to and entertain our friends.
Yes, and it's so important that our young people learn from an early age about actually what foods can help them be healthy.
Exactly.
I know when I was growing up, we didn't always eat and we weren't always conscious of healthy living. I mean, you know, macaroni and cheese was the comfort food. It wasn't necessarily the best for us, but you know, like you say, we can take these comfort foods and have a little healthier version of them.
And even further than that, it's important for us to teach youth that things have been different throughout history.
Right.
You know, when you talk fondly of macaroni and cheese being your comfort food, you know, I'd be willing to bet that macaroni and cheese was not from a blue box.
No, it was not.
That macaroni and cheese had butter in it, and it had milk, and it had cheese, and it was a huge dairy and protein source. And you know, I think it's important for students who may not have had the opportunity to learn that to see that there are foods that sometimes are seen as unhealthy, but we have to think about the context of how foods have changed over time.
And how they're prepared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really where I find comfort in Union County.
Yes.
Because we have the backbone where we can talk about these things, we can share these stories, and we can do education, and we can incorporate agriculture. And the 4-H program is just supported so well here. I think the community really sees that investing in youth is important. And I think a lot of times we just don't know quite how to do that.
Oh, I agree with you there.
And you know, it's not bad to teach youth how to cook macaroni and cheese and how to make biscuits. I mean, I tell you, we're not making biscuits without either lard or butter. You just can't do it.
You can't do it, can you? No.
But there's a place for that.
Right.
And just like moderation is taught when we're talking about cooking and eating and meals, that applies to other parts of life. I mean, everything in moderation, but you have to have the confidence and the skill to know what that moderation looks like. Whether it be procrastinating on your homework a little bit, or maybe not grocery shopping when you need to, months before the holidays. But you know, it all fits together very well. And I really enjoy my role here in Union County, trying to just fit together those puzzle pieces.
And the heritage crafts are just so much a part of it. I mean, I was looking at the chairs we're sitting in, and we have a lady who comes to the festival that does chair caning. And this may be something for future reference, you know, that we can teach our youth how to make a basket. I can remember as a young person in Union County, I was a young adult, and learning to make a basket. And I still have my basket, and I use it practically every day, you know, for something. And that was one of those skills. Now, would I make another basket? Probably not. but I did it, you know, and it was something that made me proud to be able to say, oh, well, I made that basket.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that is something that we can give our youth. is confidence, like you say, and pride in themselves.
Oh yeah, because how proud are you when you've created something like that?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you one of the best things I learned at Berea, and if anybody from Berea is listening, excuse me, because the education there truly is great. It is. But one of the best things I learned at Berea was that I personally need some sort of stimulation with my hands in order to really calm down and listen. I get really excited, and you've probably seen this sitting in on board meetings and other things with me. I get so excited, and I love to just share everything, and I don't quite think everything through. But what I found is sometimes I really need to just do something with my hands and calm down. And so I really enjoy knitting. I mean, I found that at Berea College, we had what was called convocations, where speakers would come in, and we were permitted to knit as long as we were paying attention.
Yes.
But we could take part in needle crafts and still pay attention and listen. And I've carried that in and continue to do that now. I mean, I've always got a little knitting bag with me because sometimes I just need to step aside and I just need to do something. And I think that's where we can teach youth how to figure out what are their skills and what are their interests and what can they take from their heritage and use to their advantage today.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny that you were talking about doing something with your hands, because my mom was continually saying to all of her children, idle minds and idle hands are the devil's playground, you know. And I can just see her saying that, and she would find something, you know, for us to do. And even if it was sending me to summer school every year in high school, even though I didn't need to go, but but you know, I wasn't going to be sitting at home or sleeping late, you know.
I got my crash course in that at 4-H camp. If you've never been to 4-H camp, you have. Well, anybody who is interested, you know, they've got to come visit us sometime at 4-H camp, because it's great to see how that is run and how the students benefit. And in my crash course last summer, unfortunately we didn't get to have camp this summer, but I found out that if you've got somebody that is homesick or they're bored or they're maybe getting into a little bit of mischief, the best thing you can do is find something for them to do.
Yes,
but you've got to give them something to do, and you've got to tell them, okay, this is your job to go do this.
Oh yes.
You have to encourage them, but empower them at the same time. And
absolutely, and that's a good word, because what we're hoping will happen from these crafts and all the heritage crafts that you're teaching is we will empower our youth.
Yes.
We will empower them to take more charge of, you know, what they're doing and their food, not just their food, but their skills, and give them that confidence. And so, let's see, these are going to air. You know, you've already done one Zoom, right?
No, the first Zoom is coming up. It will be canning, and it is Saturday, September, I believe the date is the 19th, but somebody double check a calendar for me on that one. It will be a Saturday in September, and I've broken it up into 2 sections so some people have some power over what they're more interested in. We'll be canning together over Zoom, pickles in the morning and jam in the afternoon. And there are still spots open to register, so people can register by calling the extension office.
So just call you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. And then the other sessions, Southern cooking, which is biscuits and apple butter, as well as aprons and sewing skills, those will come the following months. So October and then November. And those have been placed strategically so that hopefully we can see students maybe even create some Christmas gifts out of our November session. We'll see what happens, but they've sort of been placed to where It makes sense in the calendar, and we'll do one each month. And families will register for each one separately so that will create more opportunity for families to participate. And I'm just really excited to see how all of this momentum leads into Heritage Festival next year. Because I think we've hit the ground running. And next year, I'm just so excited to see what Heritage Festival looks like.
And wouldn't it be wonderful to have if some of these young people wanted to come and display some of the things that they had done, you know, especially if maybe they quilt a pocket on that apron or they do something special. You know, I know our agricultural products in the past that our extension students and all and adults have displayed has always drawn a crowd. I mean, people come by, and as a matter of fact, the pie contest that I remember one year I had a person come up to me and say, "Why did you let so-and-so buy that pie before I could get a piece?" I mean, it's like I was supposed to, you know, make sure that they were able to eat the grand champion pie, you know. And so it has stirred a lot of interest, and we're so proud to have and to be a part of helping our youth to carry on our heritage, because that's what the purpose of the Heritage Festival. It's about, our mission really is to use these crafts and music and art to learn about our heritage, but to eventually make Union County a destination, a tourist destination for the perpetuation of these. And, you know, we are blessed to have had 5 musicians that have been a part of either the Country Music Hall of Fame or the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And we are the only county, as far as we can find out, we're the only county we know in the Southeast and maybe in the entire nation that has that type of heritage. So we're thrilled to partner with you. And we hope you out there, if you haven't contacted Extension recently and you would like to do some canning or maybe learn to sew an apron or to, let me tell you, biscuits and apple butter early in the morning, I can guarantee that if you can bake a biscuit and you can offer apple butter on it, your children will get out of bed.
And I also want to mention that if you're a business in the community and you want to know how you can help support the Heritage Festival, even with the changes that have been made this year, there will still be a hay bale decorating contest. And that's the best way that we can show we have not been beaten.
Right.
We have not, our heritage is still here.
We're not going away.
Wanda said it perfectly, didn't she? She said the festival may be postponed, but the heritage is still here.
Yes.
So we are going to,
lives on.
It does. We are going to decorate this county. And I just hope that many businesses, especially along Maynardville Highway, put out displays, because this really kicks off the fall season.
Oh, it does. It does. And there will be, you know, we have to have hope, and we have to have some uplifting. And by having the decorations and all, and that doesn't cause a problem. I mean, you could decorate your business or your house outside, and that gives us something to appreciate and to enjoy as we drive by. And we're still practicing that, I like to say, physical distancing. You know, I don't want to be socially distanced because I want to connect with people. But it does allow us to be apart, but be together.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes, so thank you so much,
Well,
Alicia.
thank you for chatting with me. I really enjoyed the conversation. And again, I just want to say thank you to the Heritage Festival Board as well as the museum for supporting Extension and seeing the value that we have in the community. And we can't tell you how thankful we are.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to all of you out there who do support the festival. Last year we had about 5,000 people coming. And that was one of our concerns this year, was that those 5,000 people might show up this year and we wouldn't be able to handle them. So going forward next year, we're going to combine 2 festivals, and we hope that it's just going to be the best ever. Thank
I
you
can't
so
wait.
much. And take a country road. If you haven't driven a country road recently, take one. And we hope you'll end up in Union County.
Thank you.